Hello, welcome to part 4. In part 4 we're going to take a closer look at some impressive endings by the young Norwegian. In the following encounter, Magnus played Stellan Brynell in 2005. Magnus is rated 2570 here and he's on the rise to the top. In my opinion, this is a very high quality endgame, so enjoy. The first move was played by Brynell here, and it's rook b5. Brynell offers this trade on the b5 square to unsplit his pawns, and my question here is, which endgame did Magnus strive for and why? You may pause the video here already for some minutes and see which exchanges would benefit the black position. So pause the video right now. Okay, welcome back, and let's consider what we are looking at here. White has a passed pawn in a dry opposite bishop ending, which would be an easy draw if the rooks and queens go off. But what does Magnus see here? In an opposite colored bishop position, one should always strive for some kind of initiative, favorably against the king. The best way to get that would be to exchange the rooks, as f7 is not as vulnerable to attack as f2 because of the protective function of the e-pawn. That way black would ensure himself a lasting advantage. Another plus is that black would unpass the passed pawn in the first exchange. So Magnus played rook takes b5 here. And as we've seen before, the computer again does not approve of this move, and that's great because this is a human conceptual way to play the position, and that's again our way to play is the human way and not the computer way. It's a clear plan, and computers don't have plans unless Skynet already came down on us. But I feel I'm still alive right now, and you're probably too listening to this, so good chances that computers still don't make plans. C takes b5, rook d8, offering the exchange of rooks in a clever way because the c file is now blocked by the bishop on a3, and the only active option for white's rook is on d1, so it was quite logical for Brynell to go for rook d1. Rook takes d1 check. Rook takes bishop takes d1, and Brynell actually fell for it because it's easy to think that these queens are quite easy to exchange, and usually it's actually kind of a drawer's endgame, queens and opposite colored bishops. So it might look like an easy draw, but it's not, because of the f2 point. Queen d6, important, taking control of the center. Bishop f3, bishop c5, queen e2, queen d4, and now black is hitting the f2 spot in full force, and white is actually pinned to the weakness. The bishop on f3 is not doing anything functional anymore, and that will turn out to be very good for black, who can now slowly build his position. g3, g6. The computer doesn't think that the position is that bad yet, but white does not have a clear plan. And the queenside pawns are also kind of weak because they cannot be mobilized. They cannot get together with a4. And of course white cannot move its queen, which is kind of annoying if you're playing for 4 hours and you have to play the rest of the game not being able to move your pieces freely. King g2, king g7, bishop c6, bishop b6, just covering everything. Queen f3. And now I would like to invite you to pause the video again and come up with a sensible winning plan for Magnus. Take your time until you've found something. So pause the video right now. Okay, so this is the plan. With pieces so centralized, it's actually quite easy to formulate a plan. We should just be careful to keep our pawns on the light squares, because that's the squares not of our own bishop. And we should restrict the opponent's bishop there. So Magnus starts his super plan with f5, queen e2, e5, bishop b7 and e4. So he created this huge pawn chain which seriously disturbs the white bishop in its play. Now he's slowly building up his position behind his queen. So it's interesting to see that the black queen has like gained the space in the center. It has now a spot in the center which it can maintain, and behind that black can now build up. It can push its pawns, and it can even push further, as we will see. White plays bishop c6, and as you can see, white simply does not have a plan. It would have been better to try some active counterplay initiated with a4, but that's a tough decision to make in time trouble, probably. King f6, bishop b7, king e5. Black's just getting free moves here all the time. The king also improves his position here, and I would say it looks like a highly dangerous queen endgame for the king, but nevertheless everything's fine here. Black can really play this, and that's what I think is really beautiful, because usually people don't play like this, but it looks so simple and beautiful. Bishop c6, and now black goes on to improve more of his kingside pawns. G5, bishop b7, g4, so gaining even more space. Bishop c6, h5, and now it's getting difficult for white, and he finally crumbles. White should have stayed with the bishop on c6 or b7, but now it plays bishop e8, and that's a mistake. White should have played queen c2, seeking for a little bit more active counterplay, although it's still hard to find, I have to admit. Black plays h4, and the pawn is impossible to take, because when you take, black plays queen c3 and plays the queen to h3, winning probably in a great attack there. So the pawn is immune. Queen e1, h3 check. And what a wonderful position black has now. And this is all because of the slight weakness he was playing for at the beginning of the endgame. So everything black has achieved right now is only because white was pinned down to his weakness on f2. King g1, queen b2, bishop c6, queen takes a2, and white still only has one check when black's king is in the center. Isn't it wonderful how black can even take this pawn like that? Well, enjoy. I'll finish the rest of the game without commentary. Bishop b7, queen b2, bishop c6, bishop d4, bishop e8, e3, king f1, king f6, queen e2, queen c1 check, queen e1, queen takes e1, king takes e1, e takes f2, king f1, f4, g takes f4, king f5, bishop f7, and king takes f4, and white resigned.